Well, hey everybody, Backyard Scrapping here, and welcome to part 8 of our silver contact refine. I ended the last part. I told you I was curious about this purplish brown looking stuff we got out of that out of our shake bucket or our swill bucket, which was the bottom of our rinse waters. This is how it ended up after I treated it with HCl and boiled it for a while. So I am going to go ahead and melt. I took, I don't know, maybe a third to half of it out. I spooned it out in this beaker. I'm going to go ahead and melt this. And I'm going to take a ride, and I'm going to, see if we can figure out exactly what this is. Now remember, this was the waste product. This was not our, our drops or our good stuff. This was actually the settlement from the rinse water. I knew there would be silver in it, but this color has just got me vexed. I mean, I'm curious. It's worth it to me just to see, because that'll tell me also too maybe a lot of what the other alloys were in these, in this whole batch. So I'm gonna go ahead and melt this off. As you can see, I have everything set at a distance. I don't want to be anywhere close to this because I don't want to get the fumes or any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll time lapse it because I know it's probably going to take a while to melt. And in fact, I got to get a cooling thing. All right, so I'll get back to you when we're going to start melting this. Okay, guys, we got our bowl, a little bowl of water to cool this off, and our tweezers to pull this thing out. I'm going to have to grind these things down. They're turning to crap at speed of light. Anyhow, so let's go ahead and get this done. Like I said, I'll time lapse it because I'm sure it's going to take a bit. And so let's do this. Okay guys, I just wanted to pop back in for a second. We haven't applied really any heat to this, hardly at all. And I don't know if you can see that in there, but that little bit of fluid, and we're getting a very rapid melt, so we got a very low temperature metal here. And we also have that glassy looking crap forming like I normally see when I'm doing a melt on just a chloride drop. So I'm thinking there's going to be a ton of lead in this. So let me continue on. Like I said, that was not, I'm not really laying the heat to it. I was more trying to dry it than even melt it, and it already started melting. So let me continue on, and we'll see what happens with this. I may not have to take a ride. It may be mostly lead. Okay guys, I can tell you for many years I have melted metals, and I know how they behave in a bowl, and this is not behaving the way what I'm used to seeing. I poured off the other stuff over here. I'm actually going to take that with me as well. This has sheeted over. I boraxed it. Now you saw that big pile that was in there. That is what we have left, and it does not feel, it feels weirdly light. So I'm going to toss that in the pickle pot, and then clean it up, and then I'm going to take a little ride. And like I said, I'm going to take that with me too. I'm not going to touch that, but let me go ahead and put this in the pickle pot. I'm going to let this guy cool off good, and it's light, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Alright guys, let me get this thing cleaned up, and we'll get back at you in a bit. Okay guys, we're taking our little road trip to Murphy so that I can get this stuff tested and try and figure out what it is we have here. So when we get there and get it tested, I'll get back at you. Okay guys, we are almost there. I'm going to be pulling in right now, so we'll get back at you in a bit. Alright guys, we got our test done. I actually was quite surprised on a couple of things. So when we get home, I'll tell you about it. I'm actually not going to, they prefer that I don't put them in the video, so I didn't. I asked their permission and they said no, that they would prefer not to for security reasons and things like that. So therefore, they are not in the video. But like I said, I did find out some surprising things, and I don't really want to talk about it while I'm driving. I want to pay attention to driving. So I'll fill you in when we get back home. Okay guys, we are back home. I'm in here at the bench, and I just got back from getting that stuff tested, and we had some interesting results. I brought these two just for the heck of it, but this is the stuff I wanted to test. This is actually a little more than a teaspoonful or spoonful of powder out of this jar that I'm going to dump back in there. This was our button that came out of this slag type material. The interesting thing was, which I really liked and was really very happy with, this powder was pegging 4/9 fine. Now this has not been through a silver cell. This is just my powder and the way I clean it up. And the XRF gun was showing that it bounced 4849. Or not 4849, but 99.99 or 99.98. It bounced back and forth between that. So that is for sure 3/9 fine silver. I don't care if it's 4/9. It makes no difference to me. Now I know that melting it will probably clean up that 1/1000th of a percent that's bouncing. Okay, this is material or a bar that came through my silver cell. So that has been refined, cleaned up like I cleaned that up, then poured in a shot and run through the silver cell. It didn't hesitate anywhere on the bar to pull 4/9 fine. Now naturally I only mark my material 3/9 fine because I don't care about the 4th 9. Interestingly enough, this is just my cleaned powder, my personal clean powder, which is cleaned up the same way I'm cleaning this up that you saw in this refine. This also did not falter. It pegged at 9999. So it was 99.99 fine. So what that tells me is if I am cleaning up my silver the way I clean it up after I drop it, no matter the method used, but by running it through that HCl wash and rinsing it and doing it again if I have to and whatever, that I am actually pulling nearly or all 4/9 fine silver without running it through the silver cell. Now, I don't care if anybody wants to buck me on that or not, because we spent a little bit of time testing and retesting, and we got the same results every time. Again, this little button here that came out of our slag was 3/9 fine, and it bounced. So it pushed 4/9, but maybe not quite, but it is 3/9 fine silver. Holding it now, you know, when I was outside, I've been holding a lot of gold buttons lately, so this felt light to me. But after, you know, after having it in my hand and having it tested with the XRF, you know, to verify, you know, so this is minimum 3/9 fine, possibly 4/9 fine. This slag that we poured off of it, okay, we got an unusual reading from this because it's actually a glassy type material, and you've seen me, you know, you've seen this happen before when I was, you know, melding stuff. I would get that brownish, glassy looking, whatever it is. Anyway, it does contain a little bit of silver. Okay, so the gun can kind of, you know, it can kind of pick up the silver particles or whatever, but it's, you know, basically shooting through this stuff, but it's not super accurate. But anyway, the surprising thing is the silver that it picked up. So we did pour off a little silver. Okay, that was the reading for the AG, and that was 97.85. Okay, but we also had RH at 0.16 or 0.167. So there was a little bit of rhodium in here. Now, why it poured off, why it, you know, it's in the silver here but not in the silver here, I have no idea. I'm not a chemist. I don't know. I don't know. You know, all I know is she tested this one several times, and this tested out that it had the rhodium in it at the same number every time. So that's just going to go in the slag pot. I guess I need to do some research out there, unless somebody knows something, you know, or wants to leave something in the comments about it. But this and this came from that icky brown looking powder. When I got it up to temperature, I don't know, maybe half of what it took to melt the silver, I was able to pour this off, which you saw me pour it off on the block. I let it solidify and harden, put it in a bag, and just took it with me. I was just curious to see what it was. So the silver that is in it, and I don't know what the other was because it's hard. She said it's hard to get a reading on something like this. The powder is actually easier because you can get packet tight, you know what I mean, and get a uniform reading, where this is actually scattered throughout this slag material. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. Again, for security reasons, they didn't want me to video. I wish they would have, because it was actually an interesting little session that we had there. But that's good to know that my powder, not run through the silver cell, is popping at 4/9 fine. So I'm very pleased with that. So that means, and that popped at 4/9 fine. So that means it pays off to clean up your material, like I've been saying over and over. Don't just drop it and melt it. There's still some crap in there. You have to clean it up. Alright guys, we're going to get outside and get to dropping that other stuff and try and finish this thing out. So we will see you then. Okay guys, a few days has passed. I actually had some other chores I had to attempt doing that haven't worked to any good yet. I got a huge European hornet nest in like a cubby area above my, just to the right of my front door. If I was to open the screen door all the way and bang it against the wall, it would hit the entrance to the nest. And I found out the hard way. You know, I was looking on YouTube and looking on places, and it said, you know, the wasp spray and this and that. Wrong. If you ever get one of those, do not spray it with wasp spray, and do not even try it at night. These boogers hunt at night. They're attracted to light, so if they're going to come to your flashlight, And in any case, I hit it with 2 cans of that stuff, and they flew right through the foam and came after me, and I busted my butt and hurt my knee and cracked a rib and all that crap. Luckily, I did all that crap, but I didn't get stung. I don't know how I avoided that. But anyway, so now I'm trying to do some research and build some traps and stuff like that, because I mean, it was just way out of my price range to have an exterminator come do it, and they're going to be gone in a month anyway, and then I can get up there and get the thing out. I was just wanting to kill the nest before the 80 or 100 new queens came out of it. But anyhow, enough of that crap. This was our batch that we were going to drop with the 8CL, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing that and get it settled and converted, which we'll go through all that process and get this refined, finished up. Also had some interesting stuff. Boy, I was really surprised after coming back from the place where I got the stuff tested with the XRF to find, and I'm very happy to find that the way I clean up my silver powder is nearly as good as running it through a silver cell. And I know I'm probably going to get some head bucking on that and whatever, but hey, I had them test the stuff that I ran through the silver cell. I had them test the stuff that I didn't run through the silver cell, that I just cleaned up, and amazingly, they were nearly identical. So my cleanup process, whether anybody thinks I'm wasting my time or doing this or doing that, hey, if I don't have to put that stuff through a silver cell, that's another process I don't have to do. And if I can end up with better than 3/9 fine silver doing it the way I do it, then I'm going to continue to do that, because the cell is another entire process. And if I'm getting 4/9 fine silver just out of my drops and cleanups, that'll be fine with me, because all I'm after is 3/9 anyway. Alright, enough babbling about that crap. Let's get to doing this. I need to get a jug of acid out, so we'll be back in just a sec. Okay guys, I have my back fan going, as you can hear, or I think you can hear it, and I am between the fan and the HCl because I don't like breathing the fumes from that crap. It's nasty. So let's go ahead and get this done. There should be a load of chloride in this. So we're going to get a lot of silver chloride. We are getting some yellow, but I think that's it's possibly palladium, but I don't know for sure yet. So we're just going to keep on keeping on. And this beaker may not be big enough. And you are going to get fumes from this, so you do want to be behind it, or where your fresh air is coming from, because it does stink. This is almost like white paint. We have so much chloride in there. And it appears we are still getting it. I may end up having to transfer this into a bucket. Okay guys, look at that. Tell me that's not a lot of silver chloride. When you can stand your you can stand your stirring rod up in it, you got a lot. Well, and I knew there was going to be a lot. So anyhow, I'm going to let this settle for a while, see if we can get some clear solution on top so we can pour some more acid in and check it, and see if we got it all dropped or if we're going to have to get another container. So we will be back in a bit. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you that we actually put this in a catch dish. It's cooling off now, but excuse me, with all that that amount of silver chloride in there and that amount of reaction, we generated quite a bit of heat, which is one of the reasons I did it in a beaker and not like a big gallon jar or something. I wanted something that just in case it got, you know, really hot, I didn't want to take a chance on using a pickle jar or something. But it's settling out. I'm gonna have to let it settle some more. I don't know if you can see that line, so I can hit it with a little more acid to see if we're still curdling up some silver chloride. And in here, this was the last, like those 5 or 6 of the contacts that didn't completely dissolve out of that one batch. So I'm actually going to go ahead and siphon that off, do a little rinse job on that, and that will go with our other cleanup reduced fluids to drop as a silver chloride. I still haven't done this little guy. I've been moving him all over the place. That is actually our first rinse, when we just rinsed everything off and put it in that tall jar and let it settle. And then I put some dilute nitric acid in there to see to check and see if we're going to get any silver out of that, which I'm sure we're going to get a little bit. I may just save that for last. I've been saying I'm going to do it, and I haven't done it. So anyway, we're getting a good separation now. I'm going to let it go a little bit more, and in the meantime, I'm going to get to work on this, and then with pretty much all we're going to have left is to drop that, add it to our silver chloride that we've already collected from rinse waters and things, and convert that out and convert this. So anyway, I'm going to get to work. I will show the conversion process, but I'm not going to show all the filtering and rinsing as normal. If you want to see that, I've got past videos that show all that stuff, but it's just long and boring work. So, oh, and also we did find out that this has a touch of rhodium in it, and it is, I mean, that'll reduce down to, compared to the amount of powder, a very small button. We're actually going to get, let me see where I put it, we're going to get some more of this slag that contained the rhodium, this stuff. So I still don't know exactly what the slag is. You know, I know it's like a glass, but I don't know what it is or what, you know, or what its properties are. But anyhow, that's why that's purple. Or brown now. It's not purple because of chloride. It's purple because of whatever that slag crap is, this stuff. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get to work. We'll get back at you when I got something else to show you. Okay, guys, I'm just popping back in for a second. I've got some stuff filtering over here. We've cooled off quite a bit. We still generated a lot of heat with that. That was a big batch. We're settling out good. I just spritzed the top to knock the fine powder off, so that clouded it up again. But we were nice and clear here. So I'm going to let that settle down a little bit more until that clears out again. And then we're going to hit it with a few more drops of HCl and see if we've got any silver left in it. I was guesstimating, you know, between 500 and 600 grams of silver. Had this been metal, it probably would have been down to here, and I was like, if we would have dropped it with let's say copper. But you know, the chloride's fluffier, it's a little bit bigger, so I've thought this would be a big enough container, but you know, we'll see when we drop a little more HCl in it. It may not be. I may have to actually let that settle, pour this top off, and hit it again. So anyway, when that clears up, we'll put a couple drops in it and see what happens. In the meantime, the rest of our filter and rinse waters are in the process. I actually have some on the burner over there reducing. that one over there is ready, and this one will be ready as soon as it filters out. So we'll be back. Okay guys, this is settled enough to test it, so I'm just going to try a couple drops of HCl and see if we get any reaction, and we are not. So we have dropped all the silver chloride out of solution. Effectively what we've done here is actually made aqua regia. Not necessarily a complete aqua regia, because it's not, you know, there's more nitric or more this or more that, whatever. But anyway, it's not an aqua regia I would use to dissolve anything. So anyway, that's done. We're going to let it settle off till it clears, and I'm going to pour it off and start the rinsing process on that. So I just wanted to show you that we did check it. It is all dropped. So this little guy was the filter water from the other. There were 6. I went and looked it up. I made some notes and I looked it up, and there was actually 6, and they were only the square contacts that were left. So I believe that was this batch. I think this was our largest batch, was the squares. I don't have my notes out here right now, but if that's the case, then I will just put this, when it filters, in the square rinse water from our first batch of silver, and we will drop that together and add it to this for a total on that particular batch. Alright guys, I'm going to get back at it. Really nothing for you to watch yet, just slow and slower. So we'll be back in a bit. Okay guys, I decided that in the meantime, while we're waiting for things to settle out and some other things to filter out, I'm going to go ahead and take this brownish purple powder that we know already contains a little bit of rhodium and some more silver, but not near what it looks like it should be. So we're going to go ahead and melt this, and I'm going to pour that off. If it gets too long, I will definitely time lapse it. So I'm going to hush now, as I always do when we're melting stuff. Okay guys, we have got that all gathered up. For the amount of powder that was in there, you'll see this was virtually nothing. Most of it was slag. But that slag, like I said, when we tested it, it did show rhodium. So as soon as this sheet's over, I'll get it out of here. It's actually not much bigger than the first one we did. And there it is. So that first one tested out is pure silver. This one looks like pure silver. So I'm going to get it in the pickle pot. You can see we got most of that crap out. And it is actually right here. So I'm actually going to just take and probably just send this stuff back to Jerry in a little bag, because I really don't mess with platinum group metals. So there's no point in me keeping it. I probably should, but you know, hey, it's his stuff. So anyhow, that is our slag. You can see we got another, and that big old thing of it. So, and that was all the silver that came out of all that powder. So I'm going to go ahead and put this, like I said, I'm going to put it in the pickle pot, let it get cleaned up, and we'll get back at you when we're ready to do something else. Okay guys, it is getting pretty late in the afternoon, early evening. I've been out here for quite a while, and I'm starting to get a little tired, so I'm going to head on in. I went ahead and took the, I had reduced the number 8 rinse water down to about 800 milliliters. So I just dropped it. There's no need to show it. This was actually a better drop. It was stood up like cottage cheese in there. But anyway, so there's our, it's just starting to settle out now. It's probably going to go to about half that, or more, less than half that, because it's not a lot. It's still fluffy in there. You can see this one started way up here, and look at where it is. So it settles out pretty heavy, pretty dense. So anyway, I'm going to go in for the day. This is all the silver for this particular batch. So the next thing I'm going to do is tomorrow I'm going to finish up our rinses. I've got this one rinsing now, or filtering now. That one I'm probably going to reduce a little. And that's really going to be about it. Then we're going to be pretty much done with this. I still haven't dropped. It's back there. Our first one. I figured I'd save it for last, being I said I kept saying I was going to do it, and I never did. So anyhow, I'm going to head on in, guys. We'll see you out here again tomorrow. Okay, guys, our silver from number 8, or silver chloride from number 8, has settled out. You can see how far down that one went. That one has really packed down as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get these siphoned off, and we're going to go ahead and do a conversion. So I will be back at y'all in a bit. Okay guys, while we're waiting on our water to boil to to clean our silver chloride, I'm going to go ahead and do this. This was the I'm going to go ahead and drop these with some HCl2. This was the stuff from, it was the 5 or 6, I don't remember, 5, 6, 7, whatever it was, the contacts that were left over. I think they were in this square batch. And then this is that little bit of rinse water, which I want to do this one first. This is what I've been saying I'm going to do, and I'm finally going to do it. But anyway, this was when we originally rinsed our, just cleaned, like washed off our contacts, the whole bunch of them, and then I let that jar settle out. It took about 3 or 4 days, and then I put a little bit of dilute nitric in it. So we did get a little bit. I'm thinking we got a little bit of silver in that. Just for the heck of it, I did it, and I just wanted to see what was in that dirt and dust. So we're going to hit that, and we do. I can tell we don't have a lot. There's going to be a speck, but there was, as I suspected, some silver in that. So let me get a rod. Yeah, it didn't even flake up. But hey, there was still a little bit of silver in that dirt and dust. So that just goes to show you, you know, don't toss everything out, because you never know. You know, just because you rinsed it and washed it doesn't mean there wasn't little particles of silver in there, which there obviously was. I mean, it's probably not even a half a gram, but you know, that was just an experiment I wanted to do. I wanted to see if there was any silver in that dirt and dust, and obviously there was. So let me put another drop, make sure we're not getting any more chloride, and we are not. So that's that. So we did get a smidget of silver out of that. You can see it's going to really settle out to almost nothing. But hey, half a gram's a half a gram, right? You can see it's clumping up a little bit, just not a lot. Alright, this we should get a little bit more in, because that was actually some solid material, some solid contacts. So we're going to go ahead and drop this one. Our water is getting up to temperature. Then we're just going to go through the rinsing process. It's a standard rinsing process. I'm just going to rinse this chloride with boiling water, and then we're going to get it into a jar and convert it. So let me see. Let me get a regular jug of acid for this one. And again, it shouldn't take a whole lot. That's kind of neat looking though, isn't it? That really is neat. Go ahead and stir that up. And I got it written in my notes. I think this actually was out of the number 8. So, in fact, hang on a second. Let me pause and let me go look. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I was right. I checked it. This was squares, so this was out of the number 8s. So it is actually going to get combined with this and this little bit that was in that other. So this is all going to get combined together for our batch number 8. Our little rinse water has got a little line of silver in it, so that's pretty cool. So anyway, these 3 are going to go together. That'll be batch number 8. Then I also just have one more rinse water batch to do. And this will probably be our last drop, and this will get added to our other silver chloride from our rinse water, so we still have that one to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff rinsed off. My water's almost up to temperature, and we'll get back at you in a bit. Okay guys, I'm just popping in for a minute to show you our rinses. This is getting pretty clean. I probably got maybe 4 or 5 more rinses to do on it. This is one of the reasons I don't actually like doing silver chloride drops, because the cleanup time is forever. I mean, yeah, with the copper drop, I got to boil it in acid and do this and that, but you know, it's basically a few rinses and it's clean. The silver chloride, you got to rinse it and rinse it, because it's powder. I mean, really powder, like baby powder most of the time. I mean, it clumps together really well once it's, you know, getting cleaner. But the point of it is you just really got to keep rinsing and rinsing and rinsing and rinsing. And it takes forever. You end up with a 5-gallon bucket of rinse water that you end up having to, again, I reduce my rinse waters down to nothing. So, you know, it's a lot to contend with. So, and on this, once I do the conversion and turn it into silver metal, I have to rinse it again. So, you know, like I said, it probably time-wise, it's probably about the same when you're doing a copper drop, you know, with the cleanup and everything. It just seems like the copper drop, you put your copper in, you have a rest. You know, you take your copper out, let it settle, you have a rest. You do your rinsing and cleaning with the copper drop and then boil it in acid, and while it's boiling, you have a rest. This, you're just constantly rinsing it. I mean, you can stop in between, you know, do whatever you want because you're the one doing it, but at the same time, you want to get it done. You basically take a second to drop it with the HCl, you let it settle, and then you spend the rest of that time rinsing and rinsing and rinsing. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, why I actually don't like doing chloride drops. I mean, they're clean, you get a good product, but it just takes a long time. So that's where I am right now. I've been rinsing approximately an hour or an hour and a half. I've got a little bit more to go. I changed this over into this little beaker here. That's all our rinse water drop chloride that I'm cleaning up right now. And these guys are settling out, as you can see. And that was our last regular rinse water cleanup that I just dropped a little while ago. So that's going to be really fine, because it was a lot of solution, comparatively speaking, and not a lot of silver. So these will probably all have to sit overnight. So anyway, that's where I am. We'll get back at you guys in a little bit. Oh, and one more thing. This is our Aqua Regia that I'm actually reducing down. So we'll get it down to about 400 milliliters, and then we'll check it with Stannis and see if we've got anything in it. I checked it when it was, like way up here, and it didn't show anything. So I figure I'll reduce it down a little bit. We'll get it down to about 400 milliliters, concentrate it a little, see if we got anything in there or not. So we'll be back at you guys in a bit. Okay guys, we're gonna start doing some converting. I actually rinsed this. I rinsed it till it was clear, then once it was clear I rinsed it 4 more times. So it should be good and clean. I'm hoping this works as well for heat as it does for ice. It's an old ice dish. I'm going to do the first conversion. I'm not going to try and do it all at once because there's too much silver in here. So I'm going to put, maybe about a quarter of it in this, and we're going to go ahead and get started on our conversion. We will be using sodium hydroxide, or just 100% sodium hydroxide drain cleaner. You can get Red Devil sodium hydroxide, whatever you want to use, as long as it's 100%. So how this works, let me get a hard rod. Okay, I'm going to just scoop up. That's a good heavy duty stainless steel spoon. I'm going to scoop some of this just right directly into here, about that much. And what you got to do is you got to do this till all the color is gone. So what we have, I'm going to put a little tiny bit of water in here because this is pretty dry. Go ahead and bust this down. And then we'll put our converted silver in here. Now what we're going to do first is add the sodium hydroxide, and I believe that converts it to an oxide. Then I'm going to use glycerin. You can use Karo syrup, you can use sugar, you can use whatever you want, and that'll convert anything sweet like that will convert it over to back over to a metal. So let me grab that. I like using this because it doesn't stick to anything. You can use, like I said, the syrups and other, but sometimes you get a big old wad on the end of your thing. I don't measure this. I go pretty much by color. You want to mix this till all the white is gone, and it's actually turning gray and purple because of the sunlight and the ultraviolet light. But you want to make sure all the little clumps are broken up. Then you're going to add, I'm going to add my glycerin, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to make sure all my little clumps are broken up. Now this is going to generate quite a bit of heat, so you're going to want to be ready for that. And like I said, I just pour it in and go until the color looks right to me. I don't do a lot at one time, but you can see that's an instant hot reaction we got because of the water. I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to I'll just do the rest, not on camera because it's actually a little bit of a pain. I'm going to put a little bit more water in there, rinse my stick, put a little bit more of this stuff in there. It's actually going to turn almost black, and that's how you know you've got it converted. Okay, I'm going to start using my little mixer guy. This works really well. I like using this. But you got to be careful you don't pull it up out of the... Got to be careful you don't splash. Actually getting a little heavy. A hair more water. And again, this is what I said, this is why I'm not crazy about doing these type of drops, because now after I do this I'm going to have to clean it all up again and rinse it all over. Okay, that color is not exactly what I'm looking for yet. I want to spray this down. Pretty warm. I'm going to do a little bit more. And like I said, I just do this kind of by eye. I don't really have a set method or set amount. Some people don't like to do it this wet. I like to do it this wet because you get everything broken up pretty easy. But you see those little white streaks? All that needs to be sure and be gone. Okay, and I'm going to put a little bit more. See that? So that's not done yet. Put a little more. Mixer in here. Well, it's getting close to the color I like. The batteries might be getting weak. Still some white in there. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and pause for a minute, get me some new batteries, and get this finished up with this part, because this is all I'm going to be doing until there's no more white. So I will be back at you in just a second. Okay guys, we've got about the color that I want. I'm not seeing, I see a couple little white specks every now and again, but this is really a pain in the butt part right here, doing this, which is another reason. Like I said, I got a lot of reasons I don't like doing chloride drops, and this is another one of them right here. So anyhow, I've got that. Now we're really going to generate some heat. So we are going to go ahead and add our glycerin. And you'll get an idea of how much to add. Again, we're going to be changing the color. And it'll start getting heavy and dropping out to the bottom. And the water will start coming up to the top. You can see it changing again. And again, I don't measure. It's kind of a guesstimation for me. My little mixer now, this is all by hand from here on out, because this is clumping up into metal, and my little mixer won't mix this stuff up. So once again, you just got to go through the whole scenario of busting all the little pieces up, making sure If I'm unsure, I put more. And you can feel the heat coming off of this. You could cook eggs with it. You can see the steam coming off of it. Main thing is you want to make sure you get it all broken up. See, like that stuff, just keep stirring it. And if in doubt, put a little more. But you're going to see it's going to convert over to a kind of a gray again, and it'll get clumpy. Then what we have to do is go through the whole rinsing process again and get all this glycerin and this leftover sodium hydroxide out of this stuff. And then we have to clean it, or I do anyway. I'm going to clean it. That's just how I do it. I know it probably ain't necessary, but as you saw earlier, my stuff is testing out almost 4 nines fine to almost 4 nines fine. So I'm going to continue doing it how I do it. I don't particularly, not being rude, but I don't particularly care. I mean, the test, you know, the test shows that I'm obviously doing something right. So, not patting myself on the back, but every time I do that, I end up with pure silver. So, and once again, if I don't have to run it through the silver cell, I mean, that's going to sell at a refinery or anywhere else at a minimum of 3 nines fine silver. So why should I mess with it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. No point in taking 3 nines fine silver and running it through a silver cell to make it 4 nines fine silver just to have the 9 that really doesn't buy you any more money. So, or give me any more money anyway. Most of my stuff is going to be made into jewelry or whatever like that anyway, so it's going to get alloyed back out anyhow. Alright guys, that's basically that. We're going to be going through the rinsing process again. I'm going to check and see. I don't know how far along we are in this video. But probably I would say we're just going to call it right here, no matter where it is, because I've got a whole bunch of converting to do and a whole bunch of just repetitive stuff like this and cleaning and all that again. So like I said, we're going to call it. Everybody take care, stay safe out there, have fun doing this kind of stuff, and we'll tally out in the next video. So everybody, we'll see you then.